Welcome, guys. We wanted to do this course so that we could help you become more of a team and really join together your lives. So that's why we're starting this whole Oneness week. And we're actually going to go over every single day of the week, but you can just take it one step at a time and come back to this video as many times as you need to reference it.
We're not going to be talking about how important communication is, because you literally couldn't do anything in this Oneness week unless you were communicating properly. If you want to talk about communication, that's going to be a whole different video. That's just going to be a given for this one. You need to know how to talk to each other.
Yeah, so first off, get your communication figured out, and then start with scheduling. Scheduling is going to be number one. So your first day, you need to be on the same schedule, because if you're not on the same schedule, if you're not spending time together, how are you growing together?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, our whole lives revolve around each other's schedules. So there's not a single day that goes by that I don't have an idea of what she's doing that day and what I'm doing that day. If you're not doing that already, that's a little bit like, I don't know how you're doing it.
Yeah, so to start off, we did our schedule around his. So he has his work schedule, and we just kind of figure everything out from what he's going to be doing that particular week. So we fit everything in based on when he's going to work, when he's going to sleep, and I just follow suit. So we don't really have a set time to wake up every morning. It's different for both of us because we have different sleep needs. But he has a very set bedtime, and I adjusted to that because it's honestly healthy to have a consistent time you're going to bed every night.
Yeah.
I mean, that pretty much covers it. But when you think about it, like dating and such, you go out of your way to schedule stuff together. So this really isn't that out there. The idea that to be one, to really be connected, you need to be scheduling things together. But not even just scheduling events and things to do together, but also just having a consistent schedule where you're seeing each other every single day, every single week.
Your lives are together, and so your schedules also have to be together. That's just how life is going to be for you going forward, because you're a married couple and everything should be done together.
And this isn't to exclude those with long distance relationships. We actually spent the first 9 months together apart.
And our schedules still revolved around each other.
Yes, they still revolved around. When he got off work, we were both on Skype at the time to talk to each other and get our goals in order and everything else like that. But yeah, day one, schedule.
Day two of Oneness week is going to be talking about your finances, which to me and Hannah, that's actually just been a remarkably easy thing. We've never really had any issues with this. But it could bring up some issues for you, and that's part of why it needs to happen. Everything needs to just be together. Like, we have 2 bank accounts, and they are both they're in both of our names. There's no questions as to whose money is whose, or who's earning what, so on and so forth. It doesn't matter, because we share everything, and we budget everything together. We make all the choices together. The only difference is we have a personal budget, which is, again, something we've agreed to anyway, which every month we get a certain amount of money. Right now it's $30. And we get to have that to use for ourselves, and honestly, more likely than not, we're just going to use it as gifts for the other person. But we can spend that money willy-nilly without having to talk to the other person. But in general, every single thing we do with our finances is together. Everything is a joint choice. Everything is fused. There's no fighting about money or trying to figure every little thing out. It's just together. And it would be good if you can try and hit that point yourself.
Yeah, so first off, joining all bank accounts. So like he said, we have 2 accounts, but both are joint accounts. We're both on them, and we both have access to them, full access. Obviously, this is going to be a problem if either of you has serious money issues, so you gotta figure that out. But assuming you can actually discuss things as adults and get on the same page and have some self-control, this is an awesome step to really combine your lives, because we pool in everything we bring in. There have been things brought to me that were specifically for me, and I was like, no, they're ours. It's our money. There is no my money, his money, it's our money. our personal budget is still set aside from our money with that intention that we would have money set aside to spend freely without having to report. And that works really well for presents, getting each other gifts, because we still like to treat each other. And when you're pooling from the same money, you have to have a system where that still makes sense and works and feels like a treat. Because it's a sacrifice when you only have $30 a month and you choose to spend it on that other person. You can choose your own budget and everything, but it needs to work with your income and with your finances. You got to get on the same page about what you're going to do financially. But money fights tend to be one of the big ones for a lot of people. I just really, I'm big on none of the my money, his money, that's not any good for anyone. Everything, all your resources are pooled together. You have one life, one income.
And a lot of those problems can be mitigated if you go into all these things with the right mindset.
Yeah.
We don't have money fights because we do all of it together.
Yep. There's not going to be a big purchase without you two discussing it first. In fact, we even talk about our small purchases. So there's nothing on the list, when we go out shopping and stuff that he's not aware of. We're going over all of it together. And we agree on all spending. Like we said, the only one we don't tell each other every little thing is the personal budget. So that's day 2. Day 3, hobbies. You have to have things you can do together. That's just for the fun of it. But you really should be having fun together. That's part of a relationship. And when you share a hobby, that's something you two can have like as a joint goal that you're pouring into. So some examples, Andrew and I, we combined our Pokemon card collections. We play video games together, and we have some other stuff we do, but those are the big ones for us.
Yeah, that, watching stuff together, listening to music together, singing badly together.
The karaoke's fun.
Yeah, actually it is fun. I'm terrible. She's actually good, but doesn't think she's good. It all works out. But we do a lot of stuff together, and we actively try and do stuff together because we don't want this situation where I'm in my own little world and she's in her own little world, even when we could be spending time together, because as is the focus of this week, we are one. Mm-hmm. We try and do everything together. We share friends, we share hobbies, we share everything. And so to me, it's just the goal to have her involved in anything that I'm doing, whether she likes it or not.
And I like it.
Well, I mean, like the particular hobby in the time.
Yeah, I have actually had some fun of him trying to get me to play like a Warhammer 40K game. And shooters aren't necessarily my thing, but it was funny at the very least. The reaction when my mic was on and I didn't realize was something, but we have fun, and that's kind of the goal. It's not to say that literally all of your hobbies have to be joined.
I play Infinity Nikki.
He does that for me. But no, that it's not to say all hobbies have to be joined. It's to say that you should have shared hobbies. There should be things you're doing together that you get to share that fun. That's like a goal you're setting out. There are still some things that I do separately, like, for example, scrapbooking, which I don't think is necessarily going to be his cup of tea. But I would keep it open and maybe try some things that you wouldn't necessarily guess the other would like, and maybe you'll be surprised and you'll find a new thing you enjoy doing together. So yeah, day 3. So now we're going to get into a little bit of a different segment with the next half, and that is starting with mind. This is being kind of on the same wavelength, but it's a little more than that. You need to think about the other person's shoes and consider what they're going through. So, for example, when your spouse is having a bad day, you should be very aware of it, but you should be thinking about, okay, what do they need right now? Like, what are they going through? How is this impacting them? Far too often, I'm seeing relationships where one or the other is being very dismissive of what another person does. Usually it's work related, where, for example, I'm a homemaker. I see lots of individuals dismissing that like it's not a bunch of work. And it's different for everyone. The load is different, but you should be really attentive to how much work your spouse is actually doing and be considerate of they have different energy than you, they have different workload than you, they have tasks that they dislike and tasks they enjoy that are different from you. They're a different person and they have a different way of thinking. So what is their life like? What is a day in their shoes like? And can you maybe step in and take care of some things for them to make their life a little easier?
I mean, she said it all, so I'm just kidding. So getting more to like the practical side of being mindful towards your spouse, it's going to be a lot of, for one, actually actively thinking about them, no matter what you're doing throughout your day, keeping a general thought of what are they doing, and maybe even texting them, calling them, right, doing something. If you're in the same building, obviously going and asking them what's going on with their day, how are they feeling, so on and so forth. If they're not expecting it, you could even do little text messages throughout the day just to make them, show them that you're thinking about them. You could do little notes around the house or wherever that they're going to find to show that you're thinking about them. Something I do regularly, because the notes thing, that's more of a Hannah move, being real here.
I put them in his lunch boxes.
I've saved one. It's a cat. It's a mean. But I check on Hannah often to make sure that she's okay. And whenever she's not okay, I usually buy her stuff that I know is going to make her happier. Even if she was at the store with me, she would have said no. I do it anyway because I can do what I want when I'm trying to make her feel better. But it's also just longer hugs and making sure she knows that I actually care about what's going on with her. A lot of it is really more showing that you care, regardless of what that looks like in your particular relationship, because everyone's different. The things I do that's going to make her happy are not necessarily the things that you're going to do to make your spouse happy. Everyone's different.
I can make him happy by bringing food, a favorite drink, something like that while he's busy doing something, and he'll be pretty
Which is
happy.
less and less likely to work because we're on diets and all my stuff is illegal. It's one of those things that seems easy, but every day you have to make sure you actually keep up with it and make sure you actually continue being mindful of your spouse and never hitting a point where you're kind of indifferent to whatever's going on with them. Because that's part of what being married is. You're there for each other. You're the one that they're most likely to lean on in any situation, and you should be, because no one understands them or can help them as much as you can other than God. And that's a heavy responsibility, but also a really light responsibility at the same time, because they're going to be doing that for you, and that just means you're going to be there during the harder times and the nicer times. Because if they're having a good day, it doesn't have to be a bad day. You can do all the same things.
Yeah.
I can get her a thing of ice cream on a good day and make her good day even better.
Oh my goodness.
It's not even a matter of just being sad every time. Being mindful is not just knowing, oh, they're having a bad day today, so I need to care more. You got to care more every day in one way or another.
Yeah, one example of it for us today was I could tell he was stressed. And that's part of just being connected. You pick up on when the other person is going through something. And he told me about it, but before he told me about it, I was fixing something up for him to eat and just brought it over. And I was like, here, I thought a snack would help you. And he's like, you noticed I was stressed. So, and that opened communication, and I think that's always a really good thing. So, mind is day 4. Day 5 is body, and you can probably guess, but this is going to be physical intimacy, which is going to range from hugs, kissing, and yes, intimacy.
A lot of what's involved with things of the body is just knowing what your spouse actually wants and likes, and really figuring things out with them in particular, and doing everything you can to make it a good experience for them, whether it be hugging or kissing or whatever. Maybe a bear hug might be fun every once in a while, but more likely than not, you're crushing your wife and she doesn't like it all the time, unless you're trying to pop her back.
something he does for me.
With all this, there's always a good version, a bad version, kind of a nuance, things you need to figure out with your spouse. In regards to full-blown intimacy, there are a lot of, I don't know, maybe stereotypes isn't the right word, but expectations are more set around that guys care a lot about that, women don't care that much, and pretty much it focuses around him. But in reality, it's a two-way thing. It very much matters to her, and you need to, as a man, learn everything about her and making it as good as possible for her, and you'll find the entire experience is enhanced through that too. It's just something you should want to do in the first place because you actually love her and you want her to have as much joy and pleasure from that whole experience as you might have. I very much recommend looking into Christian resources on how to go about doing that and how to learn more about her so that you can actually do what you need to do to make things as enjoyable for her as possible.
You do have to be careful with the Christian resources because a lot of the things written by men are very fixated on this idea that women don't care, don't want it, and it's more or less something they have to do with obligation. If there's a message of obligation, just avoid.
Yeah, actually,
it should be fun. You should both want to do it.
As compared to giving you a generic recommendation, a good one would be Ultimate Intimacy, which is something that we've used before. There was another person that I would have recommended, but she's kind of gone down some weird roads, so I'm not necessarily going to recommend her. And in the future, we will likely make videos about this too that could potentially help you without going into too much detail, because this is a topic that can very easily cross lines that don't need to be crossed. A day focused around talking about this, figuring each other out, maybe even finding out, maybe ways that one or the other is not as satisfied as they should be or want to be, and trying to figure out ways of making that happen, really figuring each other out. It's not necessarily all going to be solved in a day, but you can definitely start making progress on there, even just talking about it and making that the focus of the day. And I guess that's day 5.
Yeah, day 5.
That's what Hannah's doing,
body.
I guess.
So.
You finger guns? Every
No,
time?
I don't need to. Not every. No. Oh, I was gonna add just holding hands, kissing, looking at each other, and the just gentle touch, intentional touch, massage. But he doesn't like massage. I love it. So you do things based on what your spouse actually likes. You don't need to worry about what other people say you should do or what you should like or whatever. You like what you like, and you only have to learn it about your spouse.
Yeah.
No other person.
Forget all those other people.
All that's out.
We don't care about them.
Yeah, it's just.
You care about each other.
Yeah, you too.
There are plenty of things that the overall world would say that all guys like, and I don't like the vast majority of it. So take none of that stuff for granted.
There's also plenty of things that the overall world says women like, and I'm just over here
I wasn't part of that survey.
No.
Yeah, meaning for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, ugh.
Okay.
But
yeah.
My main difference is the fact that I actually want to do things, and that gets treated like it's odd, but I think it's odd when someone doesn't.
Yeah,
I think that's a natural part of loving a person and desiring a person, is desiring to go further with that person.
I think the whole idea that women don't want it is actually a symptom of the fact that they're mostly not paid attention to in this area. And so they learn to dislike it very quickly, even if they were excited about it before.
Yeah. And
so that's just going to be what happens if they're not treated the way they deserve to be treated. But anyway, again, day 5.
So 6, spirit.
The spiritual aspect of your lives is actually more important than the other 5, and will actually lead in many ways to the other 5. The way you are thinking of each other, the way you work your finances together, the way you treat intimacy, all of those things revolve around your spiritual life. When God is your priority, when you're studying scripture, when you're doing everything to please Him to the best of your abilities, you will find yourself doing the other things correctly too. Yep. And a lot of what's involved with your spiritual lives is, for one, understanding that, guys, we are supposed to be the spiritual leaders. Doesn't mean we're going to be perfect every day of our lives. We're not pastors, but in a way we are. Not even really in a way. We're supposed to basically be the pastors of our own house.
I see a lot of people get tripped up on this because they'll say, well, she's more versed in her Bible. She understands these things. She's more connected with God. She should be leading because she's further along. And that is a misunderstanding of leadership. When you're telling someone to lead, you're telling them to initiate. Because when you think about it, in like commanding situations, a bunch of people are going to one officer who's in charge of it, one general, military leader, whatever it may be. You're waiting for that person to initiate the plan, to initiate, the strategy, to initiate what needs to happen and just get things rolling, get things going. He takes into account what everyone else is saying and he makes the call. That is leadership. So as a spiritual leader, you need to be initiating prayer, initiating Bible reading, initiating taking, the family to church or connecting with other Christians. If you're not going to a, building or whatever, you should still be gathering with brothers and sisters in Christ with fellowship in mind.
You'll find that if you're not doing what you need to do for your house is not going to be doing very well spiritually. And you may have some thoughts like you didn't sign up for that, so on and so forth, but the reality is you did when you got married. And it's just part of the expectations that God has put on men. And if it is true that she just knows more and she's read more, she prays more, then take that as a time to step up your game and do all the same things she's doing. Like, you're not stuck where you are.
Yeah, you can grow.
I wasn't a Christian until right before I turned 20. She was raised Christian. You can guess who knew more at that time. Now, we're pretty much on the same level. It didn't have to stay the way it started.
Yeah. To be clear, we weren't married. I was actually just friends with him at that time because I was unwilling to enter a relationship with an unbeliever.
But that's a whole different video.
That's another story.
You don't need our testimony right this second. But just know you can catch up fast if you're actually diligent enough and you really care about knowing about God. And honestly, it's going to be a journey. What I believed 5 years ago is not what I believe now. But none of that ultimately really matters. It's not really about your exact theology and getting everything exactly dead on right. It's more about just doing the things that are very clearly commanded of you by God, which is pray, read.
Faith without works is dead.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you're living a godly life, you're going to find your family has a much easier time living a godly life. And that's just how it is.
Jesus gives us some pretty clear commands on what to actually do, and going and saying, oh, well, pray for you, so be full, isn't going to help a person who's hungry. He's telling us to have real actionable steps to feed those who are hungry. So pray and act because you're called to meet those needs.
And I guess in the spirit of, this Oneness week, really talk to each other about your faith.
Yeah.
Talk to each other about where you're at. Talk about maybe any problems or doubts you may be having and try and work through them together. Some struggles you might be having, or maybe even just blessings that have happened that you haven't bothered to tell each other about, but you've been pretty happy about.
Yeah, you
things
should
that
be
God's doing.
Celebrating together. And I would also say, to his point, if one falls, the other should be picking them up. So if you're struggling with something, you need to be communicating that to your spouse so they can help you back up. And if you see your spouse is struggling, you need to be praying for them. That's like one of the most loving things you can do, and just helping them with that struggle.
Yeah, we all have our highs and lows.
Yeah, we do.
And, Jesus knows we're going to have our highs and lows. He accounted for plenty of it, even just in the Gospels. We need to be here for each other. And that's also how we were designed to be. Right from the very beginning, it wasn't good for man to be alone. God knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Day 6.
Day 6. No. Okay. Stop. Day 7. I did it again. Okay. Day 7 is finally kind of bringing it all together and resting in that, what you've learned and growing in it. So you're going to kind of evaluate each and every one of these days and go back over, like, are we on the same schedule? Are we on the same page? And let's be intentional and actually like schedule a date that you two can go on together. So, that's a start. Set a budget for that date. Budgeting together is a big part of finances. Get a new hobby, start a new hobby together, something you can do together that would bring some joy to both of your lives, and just, trying something new, kind of dipping your toes into something new.
Honestly, when it really comes down to it, it's just evaluating what you did, what you talked about all throughout the rest of Oneness week. A lot of this should already have been talked about on the day that it came through, but maybe you weren't as thorough as you thought. Maybe you thought of more since that day. Because it's easy to think of Oneness week like this isn't just like a challenge. This is more of a trying to get you to really think about the deeper things in your life, the things that need to be connected that maybe they aren't. And maybe you didn't manage to fix all your problems in a week, but this should get you thinking about where all these things should be and the changes you need to make. And day 7 is really where you want to think through everything that you went and talked about, what you did over the last few days, and be like, where are we already that we're doing it right? And where were we that we weren't doing it right? And how do we start fixing this while maintaining this? It's kind of meant to mimic a day of rest and just really letting yourself think on it and pray about it and just be together with everything that you already went through this week in mind. Went through, I'm talking about it like it's a negative, like it's a good thing, but everything that you've learned about each other, everything that you need to know and need to do. And you can even start making a plan going forward about how to make that stuff happen, because a lot of stuff isn't going to be fixed in a day. A lot of stuff is going to take a good amount of work for you to really figure out. But day 7 is where you really want to evaluate, how did this week go and what can I do going forward?
You married this person, you should want to be spending time together. You should want to be connecting. And if things are a little rocky now, we'll be working on some more like conflict resolution type stuff and how to work through those difficult times, because we've had to weather our own storms. But marriage shouldn't be hard. Marriage should be awesome. Marriage really should be like this great experience overall. Yes, you're going to have hard days. You're going to have moments of selfishness and the other person being selfish and having to fight about like, and I mean like argue about things where there's like a clash
argue.
and we maybe I'm not doing the best gestures to convey what I'm talking about, but yeah, we're a team. You're a team. You two are a team, so work as a team and have fun with your marriage and actually love each other the way that you're meant to love each other. Wife, as your husband is initiating, support him in that and encourage him in that and follow his lead, because that's what his job is and that's what yours is. And I know that there's this common thing right now where everyone's really pushing independence. You should be able to do everything without anyone else in your life, but man wasn't made for that, and that means mankind. We were not made to do things alone. We're made to be social. We're made to connect, and it isn't the end of the world to be dependent. We're all dependent on God. We die without him forever.
And we're all dependent on each other too. Whether you're married or not, whether you're someone who's called to singleness or whatever, you're dependent on other people. And that's just how it is.
And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be dependent on someone else.
It would be weird if you weren't.
And they should be able to depend on you.
We can't all be Chuck Norris.
Oh. Chuck Norris is independent and...
Can't do anything about that. He's different.
But yeah, that is Oneness Week. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope that you connect really well this week and that you're able to increase in your marriage, that you're able to bless each other through your marriage, and that you're able to bless others. And remember, this is good for all of society. It's good for children. It's good for friends and family. Like, we end up learning a lot from the people around us. So when we see something healthy modeled, it actually is like really good for us too. So you having a healthy marriage and connecting with your spouse is good for other people.
And it's good for you too.
Yeah.
It's easy to think that just doing things for yourself and focusing on yourself is the best thing for you. But the more you put your attention on other people and doing things for other people and focusing less on yourself, the happier you're going to find yourself being, because you're not going to be as disappointed all the time. You're not going to be angry all the time because you weren't thinking about you were thinking about them and wanting to do more for them. And it's not impossible for people to be mad when you do things for them, but more often than not, they're just going to be grateful to you and really enjoy it.
When something stems from love, you're not going to be upset when someone doesn't receive what you did, but you're going to be thinking, okay, they didn't like that. What could I do differently? What would bless them? Because that's the actual goal when you're acting from love.
It changes the entire frame of mind.
With all that said, this was Oneness Week, and we hope it helps your marriage. All right. Oh my goodness.
I did the little finger gun, Dan.
Yeah, I saw.
All right, this is a little
Where do I go from there?
I don't know. What's day 6?
I know what day 6 is. I just need a minute. Okay.